What's going on, dudes? Lebensmute here. We've got the Dimensional Reaper mod by Malchazar, the very same who created the Gravewalker class and bonus uniques mod. Not only that, but this mod adds additional skills, enemies, and more uniques. There's a full set of Reaper armor that provides a set bonus when used, and chaos weapons that provide juicy stats and added skills, all waiting to be found. As for the enemies, just be careful after level 3.
You've been warned.
It's geared toward being a hectic and chaotic summoner, get it, because it uses chaos damage, that focuses on randomized damage and is a menacing glass cannon for a price. Dimensional Energy, the resource you gain from using the modded weapons or by using some stance abilities, increases damage percent in increments of 5 while also decreasing elemental resistance percentages. It's also required for most abilities. You know what they say, damage is king. There are 4 new summons that were implemented to function similarly to an incarnate, which means that they can receive and stack infusions. If you're into Pokemon, they evolve the longer they are summoned, gaining more stats and additional abilities depending on your character level and summoning level. All summons deal chaos damage, and they're also bound to you. Your summon gets 30% of any healing done to you, but also gives you 60% of all damage they take. If you both get hit, you'll take additional damage, so be careful. On the bright side, the summons gain certain talents that you have. Some really good ones I've seen of note are here, 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 and here. As a bonus, Walk It Off reduces the turns for evolution by 1 per evolution tier. Now let's talk about some stances. You've got several to choose from and can have multiple active at the same time, but some can't be combined. For instance, you can use Master's Might and Chaotic Maelstrom together, but that means you can't have Summoner's Grimoire or the Dimensional Hourglass or Barrier active. Play around with which ones you prefer for your playstyle, you kinda get the gist. For basic attack warriors, Master's Might and Chaotic Maelstrom may work great, while with squishy spellcasters, you may find Summoner's Grimoire and Dimensional Barrier best. Totally your choice. Just keep in mind some stances aren't available until later levels. The Spellslinger stance is the only outlier, being the only stance and skill that does not automatically make you a Dimensional Reaper by classification. If you prefer to go with only a single one-handed weapon and a free offhand, then you can reap the rewards of increased single-handed ability, initiative, movement speed, accuracy, and damage. Plus, you gain a reroll on applying statuses. There are a few skills named Dimensional Weaver 1, 2, and 3. Not to be confused about the weave the Gale talks about so much.
I know her in ways that most mortals can only dream of.
They are a quick buff that applies to your next skill and does not use action points, but uses adjusted amounts of dimensional energy based on the level of weavers you select. For summoning skills you use, it increases the summon's damage and decreases evolution time for tiers 2 and 3 of this skill. Any ally buffs or skills apply increased elemental resistances, including to yourself if you're keen to that. Finally, any enemy targeting or damage skill applies a scaling amount of chaos damage. Lastly, before we get into the main skills, you gain a weapon skill from using a one-handed or two-handed scythe called Soul Reap. It's a small AoE attack directly in front of your character that deals chaos damage, clears surfaces and clouds, and increases lifesteal for a small time. Now on to the level 1 skills. First up, we've got Ankle Biter, a good skill for physical damage and setting knockdown if their armor is broken. Why only summon beasts when you can summon your own weapon? You can benefit from a two-handed scythe that scales with level and benefits from the mod additions. With Forced Penance, you can force your enemies to repent with all of your dimensional energy for a quick burst of chaos damage and a hefty 50% debuff to their damage and elemental resistance. Useful when you're feeling vulnerable to elemental damage. Summon your very own colorful phoenix that persists through time and space and makes lots of noise as it repeatedly evolves and devolves back into an egg. Even with the noise, it's still useful to blow away surfaces and explode in a rainbow of colors back into an egg. Gift your summon with 40% of their missing health and half of your energy at the expense of a quarter of your health. Also prevents your summon from dying for 2 turns, like a mini living on the edge. When you learn any 4 of the summons, you gain Demanifest. With this, you can banish the noises back to their dimension and gain 1 energy back with Demanifest. 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 It doesn't work in Game Master mode, but you kinda get the point. Now we're on to the level 4 skills. Rift Slash your way into a group of enemies with its damaging movement ability. They won't know what hit them until it actually hits them, and you won't either. Instead of 1 scythe, now you can have 2. This works similarly to the 2-handed scythe summon, and you can unequip one if you wish to use the Spellslinger stance. For no action points, you can slap your enemies with chaos and a random status effect listed at the cost of 2-dimensional energy. If you can guess what percentage of health an enemy has or just feel lucky, you can execute them under 20% vitality and generate 4 energy. You or your summons can make an important deal for the given circumstances, transferring all energy to the target character. Just when you thought your summon didn't have enough statuses and buffs, smack a 20% damage buff on them and the ability to summon a totem when they die. Also works with the Phoenix. Tired of casting elemental totem every round? Now you can open a portal that summons 1 for you each turn. Depending on where it spawns, it will also infuse with surfaces. If and mains are weeping when this wolf puts them to shame. It can backstab enemies, summon AI-controlled wolves, and encourage allies. Now, for the level 8 abilities. Rain down a meteor of randomness on enemies that creates a new surface based on the damage it deals. If you're feeling overcharged with energy, spend 3 of it to gain a source point and some resistance. Enemies getting too close to you? Create a portal to another location within smelling distance to get away from them temporarily. I didn't test it. If enemies could use it, that's up to you to find out. Yet another infusion of spontaneity for your summon. Let enemies suffer from the mere presence of your summoned beast with random statuses. Are you tired of waiting for your adult Phoenix to evolve into a real champion? Give it the finger and it'll evolve right before your eyes. Just be careful the next time you walk upstairs in front of it. Red Prince be damned. You get your very own Rift Drake with great defensive abilities and a few high damage attacks when it evolves further. If you're fulfilling your Robin Hood fantasy with the bow, Shackle Shot works like Ricochet, but applies Shackles of Pain to both enemies hit if physical armor is depleted. At level 11, you can use an enemy's accumulated dimensional energy against them by smacking them with Decimate. Summon your very own pet Voidwoken that can transform into 2 separate forms with different abilities. Give the God King's minions a taste of their own medicine. Chain your foes together and reduce their movement speed based on wherever you shoot your shot. They can break the chain by moving far enough away, but they do have to put in some effort. This skill wasn't available in Game Master mode, but you can throw down a glyph that removes some of an enemy's soul from their body. All damage the soul takes is also given to the enemy. Group your enemies together, whirlwind like a Beyblade, and watch the bodies drop with double the damage. At level 14, we're getting into the heavy hitters. Soul Culling works like a steroid for 1 turn, granting you 10 energy and a scythe with reduced action point costs, increased damage, and a farther cleave. You have an oppressive aura that decreases enemy resistances while they are within range. Next turn, you lose all of that and become a wet noodle with 50% decreased damage and elemental resistances. Channel your inner Yu-Gi-Oh! By casting your summon back to the Shadow Realm and gaining 2 action points. The spirit of the summon will stick close to the portal and attack enemies that bother to approach it. Now, I didn't mention the 5th summon before, but the real beast you're able to summon is yourself. Create a carbon copy of yourself with nearly all of your skills available, but 100% decreased elemental resistance. Just, keep in mind you also take 60% of the damage your summon takes. Now that we're past the skills, let's talk builds and practical uses. All you really need to make this class work is an increased summoning skill. Besides that, you can do whatever you want. The chaos weapons in the mod scale with intelligence to provide energy with hits. Don't let this stop you from using your favorite weapon though, like a frying pan. You can gain energy with the stances. Sounds good to me. Means I can use my bonus uniques weapons I find. These skills scale with your equipped weapon scaling, while these ones here scale with intelligence. You can use any weapon you wish, whether it be a bow, wands, or melee weapons. Some of the added skills require either a bow or melee weapon though. The mod adds versions of each weapon type with chaos damage. If you really want to be an elemental powerhouse, you may benefit from splitting your points between the different elemental schools. The chaos damage increases when it deals the elemental damage you have a higher value in. If you decide to go physical damage instead, your summon can cover the magic damage portion. The skill Decimate may seem a bit underwhelming, but maybe you haven't thought about making a certain deal with that special someone to transfer all of your energy to them beforehand. With the full Reaper set you can find with the mod, you can have a whopping 2 summons out simultaneously. Your summons receive the infusion of the surface you spawn them in, such as fire when summoning them on fire. Surprise your enemies when your wolf fireballs their location. On top of that, you can stack infusions. In the base game, there are 4 base infusions plus one of the many elemental infusions, plus the 2 that the mod adds. Create your own unstoppable force with 7 total infusions on any given summon. The living armor talent can be great if you find yourself needing magic armor often, as the increased lifesteal capabilities put some of that healing back into your armor values. Works even better when combined with the Necromancer School lifesteal. If you find yourself infusing your summon often, consider the Elemental Affinity talent, as your summon can benefit from spending 1 less action point of the skill they gain from the infusion. There's always a debate whether the Executioner talent or the Pawn talent is better, but who cares when your summon gets it too? That's all I've got for this video on the Dimensional Reaper class mod. Thank you all for watching. If you found this video useful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. We will see you in the next video.